All right, welcome back to another video. So in this video I'll be basically going over what indicator I use basically for my funded account as well as my eval account and also as well as my personal live cash account. So let me show you some results real quick. So I do use Top Step Project X trading platform. This is my platform that I use. So I did start an eval account basically last week. So as you can see, last week I do use Swift Algo X. This was all done on 100% fully on automation. In the Swift Algo X, I did use calculated bar 0, which did really do well last week. I still ended green with 231.56 in profit. This week, I used calculated bars 5,000 in Swift Algo X. I will explain what that is later in this video. And that did actually really well this week. I had all winning days this week, and I don't trade on Fridays. But I ended the week in 1.7K in profit, which is really good. So I basically had all in all 1.9K. So I'm basically $1,000 away from actually passing this eval account because I just need a profit target of 3,000. I'm basically $1,000 away from actually passing this eval account. And like I said, this is using only Swift Algo X 100% fully on automation. And also on my funded account as well, I'm actually 1.6K in balance. Monday would have been a winning day, but I didn't turn on the automation on Monday. I actually turned it on Tuesday. So Tuesday was a winner. Wednesday was also a winner. Thursday would have been a winner too, but I forgot to turn on my automation on the Wednesday Asian session. So I would have got probably a lot more than this, but either way, I'm still green for this week. So. And then on my personal cash account, as you can see, I do use NinjaTrader. And this is indeed a live account. And my balance is over $28,000. And this was using only Swift Algo X, as well as the ConFluX. And this is 100% fully on automation. And as you see, it's my account. So I just want to show you that real quick. And this, I did actually get most of this from using Swift Algo X. But what works for me does not mean it's going to work for you. Everyone is different. Everyone has different strategies, okay? So let me talk to you about the settings I use real quick. So I do use, Swift Algo X, so click on that. If you want this indicator, the link will be in my description. And it is $67 per month, but you can always get a lifetime license, basically for $800, okay? And so basically, I do trade basically the futures. I do trade MNQ basically on my prop firm account. I do use 2 contracts of MNQ for funded, and I do use 7 contracts of MNQ for eval accounts. Okay, so I do trade on the 1 minute time frame most of the time. And indicator sensitivity, I like to actually keep that as 5 minutes. Give a few seconds to load, and you see it shows the best backtest setting, which is at 90.91%. So in my current setting right now, it's at 66.67%. So it's telling me I have to change the algorithm multiplier to 6, and then I have to change the period to 3. Because the current setting has to match the backtest setting. So both should be 90%. Mainly because, the backtest setting, it basically, it basically scrutinizes, or it basically auto detect the best multiplier in period based on your ticker, your time frame, and your indicator sensitivity, okay? So it's telling me that these are the best settings that I can get at this moment. Risk to reward, I always keep this as a 1:1. If you do change this to 1:2, which you can, it will decrease your win rate. See, it decreases it all the way down to 66. If you do 1:2 with a minimum of at least 50%, you are still considered profitable. Even as low as 40%, you're still considered profitable. I think this works better with Forex rather than futures. I feel like it hits stop loss most of the time. So I prefer to keep this as a 1-to-1 for better winning trades. And then they added a new feature like 1 or 2 weeks ago called the max stop loss size percentage, which is 1% by default. So I'm gonna basically enable the max stop loss filter advanced. I'm gonna enable this, and with M&Q, I like to do 0.2. You can experiment with this. That's just what I use. So what this does is that it basically skips all the trades that has a larger stop loss larger than 0.2%. So if you click on this, it says this filter prevents trades where the stop loss is too far away from the entry price. So if you set a 1%, any trade requiring a stop loss larger than 1% of the asset price will be ignored. So please enable the filter below if you want to activate it. Note this can, in some cases, decrease the amount of trades. So keep that in mind. If you do decrease this, it's going to also decrease the amount of trades, but at least your stop loss would be smaller. Now, this is a huge advantage for futures day traders. If you do trade Forex, it probably does not matter that much because you can risk the same amount per trade. When it comes to futures, it's a little bit more difficult to do that because those huge stop loss sizes can really blow accounts and really put it in a deep hole. But with Forex, it's a lot easier with Forex because you can risk the same percentage amount per trade. With futures, it's really difficult to do that. So I prefer to keep it as a 0.2 so we can have a smaller stop loss for that. Okay. Trend email, I typically keep this as a 300 by default. Calculated bars, 5,000 by default. You can change this to 0. So what this does is that when you change it to 0, it does use all the available bars that is available on your plan. So I have the premium plan, so it maximizes all 20,000 historical bars. Okay, let me give you an example. So if you go back, it's not, there we go. So with 5,000 bars, it basically stops right there, which is on February 24. So meaning it only goes back really, I think, just a few days. So it's basically no more than a week. So when you change this to 0, it just gives you more data, but it does decrease your win rate. But you can actually see more of the you can actually go back further. Hold on. I'm just gonna exit out of this. It's not really needed anymore. Don't give it a few seconds to load. There you go. So you see it does actually go back further. So it does give you more data, but it does actually decrease your win rate down to 65, which is still pretty good. So just keep that in mind. You can basically go back and forth with it and see which one actually works best for you. But as for me, I do go back and forth with it. Last week I did 0. This week I did 5,000. This week did better with 5,000. So you can actually go back and forth with it and see which one works best for you. And then for the style tab, I like to remove these buy and sell signals. This long entry, short entry, that I like to add third level thickness. Then I like to remove this. I like to add 50% shaded. And this one too, 50% shaded. This is actually, this is just based on person preference, but this is what my chart looks like, or this is what I want it to look like. I'll tell you why I removed these buy and sell signals. Then I don't need this extra data, so I like it to show Swift Algo X, the indicator only, then hit OK. Visibility, don't touch any of this. That's what I do on style and inputs. That's all I do. Then hit OK. So this is what it looks like. And then I like to also add this ConFluX indicator as well. Hold on 1 second, it's still loading. Okay, so we're gonna basically add the ConFluX indicator. So it's gonna be on your ConFluX advanced version. The difference between these two is that the ConFluX advanced version does come with the martingale feature. So we're gonna add that to your screen real quick. So it should look something like this. So what you wanna do is go to your settings, go to inputs, make sure your confluence requirement is on single. Long signal 1, you want to change this basically to by signal only, and then make sure enable long 1 is check. Short signal 1, you want to change this to cell signal only, make sure enable short 1 is also check. Then after that, use trading windows, we're gonna keep this on check. Exit method, we're gonna do indicator exit. And then long TP indicator, we're gonna choose take profit. Do not choose long TP or long stop loss. It does not work. You have to choose the one that says Swift Algo X, take profit. For the first one, and for stop loss, you want to check Swift Algo X stop loss. Same thing with this. We're going to check take profit, and this one we're going to check stop loss. And that's all I do with this section on inputs properties. MNQ, I'm going to do 2 contracts of this. Let's say we're going to do a funded account. Then make sure you do check this on bar close. And since I have the premium plan, I like to also use this. You cannot use this if you don't have the premium plan. This is only available on the premium plan. But I like to keep all 3 of them checked. And then style tab, I don't really need this extra data, that's too long, so I'm gonna check that. Just the indicator name only. Visibility, don't do anything there. And then hit OK. Then hit save. So that's basically how I do it. It doesn't seem like my settings saved, so let me actually go back. Give me a few seconds to do all this again. Then there we go. Sorry, I had to do that one more time because I lost connection, so it didn't save. So that's why I removed these buy and sell signals, because it's too redundant on the screen. Let me see if I saved all of this. Okay. So you see it takes a long signal there. It's same thing as buy. And then you should have this exit signal once it hits take profit. Let me see a losing trade real quick. Let's see. So this is a losing trade right there. You see how it basically entered the trade, then it hit take profit, close entry. So it's not like 100% perfect. So yeah. But if you are trading this manually, so basically the gist of it is, It prints you, for example, a buy signal in one check. It's above the CMA line. It's green. A second check, it's sloping upwards. Another check, you want this trend to be showing like all green, or at least majority of it is green. Strength ranging should be all green. Then you should enter the trade and then just exit the trade once it hits take profit. If you're going to be trading it manually, if this EMA line is flat, you want to avoid the trade. That means it's ranging. Okay, so you want to take the signal plus the EMA line sloping either up or downwards, depending if you're taking long or short. And then you want to also do your analysis on the trend table. Like, is majority of the time frame, bullish, or is it most of it is bearish? Same thing with the strength and ranging. But if you're trading automation like I do, it's only basing it off these buy and sell signals only. So if you go to strategy report, you see we're still pretty profitable. See, it won 8 out of 9 trades, got me 88%, profit factor 16. Max drawdown was 65 USD, profit over 400. You go to a list of these trades, you'll see. And this is just using basically, oh, right, my bad. I forgot to change the contract size. Oh, no, it is a 2. Oh, my bad. Since I did actually added the martingale feature, even though this has 2 contracts, you have to actually change base quantity to 2 for it to actually take basically 2 contracts. Hold on. There you go, 2 contracts right there. So I go back to strategy report. You see, I only lost $57, gained 94, 165. And just letting you know, these settings does actually change from time to time because it's always updating the current market condition. Okay, so if you're trading on the 1 minute time frame, you want to be changing them like once per day. If you're trading on the 5 minute time frame, you want to be updating it every 2 to 3 days. Now, if you're trading on the 15-minute time frame or 1 hour, you want to be updating it once per week. But as for me, what I usually do is I update it as many times as I need to throughout the day. So I update it if I need to before the New York session opens. So in the morning, I do update it again at nighttime before I sleep. And I do update it between 2 to 3 p.m. PST because that's the time that the market does close for 1 hour. And like I said, I try my best to update it once per day if needed. Usually my main time is before the new session starts, which would be Asian session. Okay? Hopefully that does make sense. But I don't always update it. If nothing changes, I'll keep it as is. Okay, this week alone, I don't remember if we're updating it. I think I only updated really one time this week. So some days you may have to be updating it more than once. Like, it does change, especially on the lower time frames, a lot. Some days it doesn't even change. Same settings, so sometimes it may even go up. But this week with 5,000 bars alone, I think I only updated really one time this week. It mostly stayed the same, so it's actually really not that bad. But that just really depends. And like I said, I only trade futures. I'm only trading MNQ and NQ. I trade one contract of NQ on my personal cash account, and I do MNQ on my prop firm account. Okay. So you do have to have the ConFluX, which is a strategy version. So if you look, hold on 1 second. Okay. So you see how the ConFluX advanced version has this symbol. That's a strategy symbol. Swift Algo X doesn't have that symbol, meaning it's an indicator, not a trading view strategy. Okay. So you have to connect ConFluX with Swift Algo X because it turns Swift Algo X from a trading view indicator to a trading view strategy for easier automation. and it gives you these, additional features. Let me go over through it. Let me go through the settings real quick. So if you want to add a second indicator, which you can, you go to confluence requirement. You have to click double, select any indicator you want. If you have a second indicator, or you can just do an alert. I'll just show you a quick example of it. For example, let's say I want to add another indicator. Let's do gravity. Actually, yeah, let's do gravity stratos real quick. This is just to give you a quick example. So what you want to do is make sure confluence requirement is on double. Long signal 2, you can select, for example, like, you can select this, let's see. Let's just do gravity line by signal, for example. And then you will need to check this, enable long 2. Then short signal 1, you want to do, let's say gravity line cell signal, and you do have to check this. So meaning, for example, for a bi signal to appear on the chart, long signal 1 has to have a bi signal, and long signal 2 also need to have a bi signal at the same time in order for a long signal to generate on the chart. And same thing for a cell trade as well. And then, you can have up to 3 indicators if you want to have extra confluences to filter out more noise. But you just have to basically experiment with it though. Enable, so let's X out that. I'm gonna actually just remove this part. And I also added the martingale feature. So in this feature, actually, let's actually do 0 real quick on this. So you can actually enable the martingale feature. So when you actually enable this, you have to select the base quantity contract. So let's say I'm trading 2 contracts, right? Multiply after loss. I recommend doing at least a minimum of 2 max martingale steps. I usually would keep this as a 3. Then let me actually show you what it does real quick. Give a few seconds to load. All right, so as you can see with the martingale feature, so it did took a loss on 2 contracts, which was the base, and then therefore on the next trade, it's going to double in contract size since I have 2. So multiply after loss is 2, so 2 times 2 gets me 4 contracts. And as you can see, it took another loss. So what happens? 4 times 2, it's going to be 8 contracts. And as you can see, it took another loss. So 8 times 2, 16 contracts. And that's going to be the last step because I only did max martingale steps 3. Meaning it's only going to multiply it only for 3 times. So since 2 was the base contract, so 4, 8, and 16, that's basically 3. I probably would do 2 just to be a lot more safer. And then after you run, obviously after you run, just reset after base run. So obviously after you run this contract, 16, then it's going to go back to basically 2 contracts. And you can also reset to a new day. So it does actually reset it back to 2 contracts with every new day. I prefer to leave this off. You can also per reset on new week. So you can actually leave this unchecked if you want. But But just note that it will take basically every time it takes a loss, it's going to multiply that contract by 2. So it's going to be 2, 4, 8, 16, and so forth. Well, actually, since max margin goes down to 3, but you want to actually always set to a new week. This may actually pass your evals a lot faster, but it can also blow it pretty easily. So once it takes a 2 contract, it's going to go into 4 permanently. Then once it takes another loss, it's going to go to 8 contracts, then 16 contracts as the final one for the remainder of the week. And then you can reset to new week. So on Sunday, it's going to go back to 2 contracts for the week. In week reset mode, even though it says futures, it just means that it's going to reset on Sunday at basically 6 o'clock p.m. New York session time. So in my time, it's going to be 3 p.m. is when it resets. You can also do it Sunday midnight, or do it on Monday if you want. And make sure you do actually leave this check as well. But that's the Marticle feature. I will only recommend doing this on an eval account if you want to pass it faster. I don't recommend this on a funded account though. Then you can also use trading windows if you want. I personally keep this on check. I prefer it to trade all sessions, day and night. But you can always enable this if you want to enable evening windows. And this is based on the New York time session, I believe. You can enable evening window. You can flatten at the end of the evening window, which means it's going to exit all trades end of evening. And then there's also overnight window. You can change the times if you want. New York session, and you can also flatten at the end of the New York session. This is actually a huge benefit for futures day traders who actually trade prop firms, because for prop firms you do have to close your trades at the end of the New York session, so you don't actually break any of the rules. And then you can also enable max trades per day if you want. I prefer to leave this off. You can enable daily profit limits, enable daily loss limits. You can do that if you want, but it does not take into consideration slippage or commissions or anything like that. So it's best to do this in the broker or prop firm settings, not in the trading view indicator settings. Indicate exit method, you can do a fixed TP stop loss if you want, and then we'll go off this section right there. If you do change it to trailing stop loss, which I don't personally use, it does go off this section right there. I personally just do indicate exit method, which goes off this section right there. And you can also change it from points, ticks, pips if you want. This is only if you do TP and SL or trailing stop loss. If you're doing indicate exit method, this doesn't really matter. And for pip size forex, you leave this by default. You can always change the values, but this only applies if you're doing this. But yeah, that's pretty much the features of the ConFluX strategy indicator. Okay. And then you can always look at the strategy report as well. And I actually want to go over a couple of tips with you. So I basically turn on my automation basically starting Sunday, basically by 3 p.m. PST, since I live in California time. Because that's the time the Asian session does start, and the futures market does open up. And I only go until Thursday at the end of New York session. So starting Thursday, Asian session, I do turn off my automation, mainly because Friday is known to be a lot of choppiness, because it's the end of the trading week, and a lot of people avoid trading on Fridays as well. And people who's holding trades like swing trading, they tend to close positions. So Friday is just known to be a lot of choppiness. So you want to actually end the week in green rather than take the risk on Friday and then just take a loss and stuff like that. So I like to avoid Fridays. Not all the time it's like this. Sometimes it does actually do really good on Fridays, but I find me losing trades most of the time on Friday. So I avoid Friday. So I usually trade basically from Sunday to Thursday, then I stop trading on Friday. So I'm never going to trade on Fridays. So that's just one tip of mine. So, and also another thing I like to mention, sometimes I do trade on the 5-minute time frame as well. So when you trade on the 5-minute time frame, sometimes I may change the indicator sensitivity, basically to either 15 minutes or 1 hour, just to see what my win rate would show. As long as your indicator sensitivity has to be higher than the time frame you're trading on. Usually in the Swift Algo X guide, they usually say if you're trading on the 5-minute, you want to do 1 hour on the indicator sensitivity. And if you're trading basically on the 15 minutes, you want to actually change this basically to the 4 hours, especially if you're swing trading. But most of the time, I do find myself using the 1-minute time frame as well as the 5-minute sensitivity. And so, yeah, sometimes I may also change the trend pair to like, I don't know, like 200. Sometimes I may change to 150 or 100. Lowest I would do is like probably 50, just to experiment, just to see if I can get a higher win rate. But most of the time I'm using 300. But just to recap real quick, I do trade on the 1-minute time frame, indicator sensitivity 5 minutes, risk to reward ratio 1, max stop loss size percentage 0.2, enable this, EMA 300, calculate bars. I go back and forth between 0 to 5,000, but I think I'm going to be using 5,000 more often, but we'll see. The only thing I do change is the multiplying period. Whatever the best sitting is, and I don't trade Fridays, and I do 2 contracts of M&Q for funded, but 7 contracts of M&Q for my eval account. But I do trade 1 contract of NQ on my personal cash account on live using NinjaTrader. And the only platform I use is TopStar Project X trading platform, and I do use Traders Post to automate my trades. So like I said, for automation, you have to have the ConFluX indicator. The link will be in my description in order to connect to Swift Algo X for easier automation. And then you need a third-party platform such as Traders Post or Pine Connector or Algorate.trade in order to actually execute the trade. Because what happens is TradingView sends alert, and the alert goes to your third-party provider. For me, it's Traders Post. And then Traders Post is going to take that signal and it's going to tell your broker or platform API to actually execute the trade for you. So all those links will be in my description. And if you do find value in this video, please drop a like, leave a comment, and please subscribe. I do weekly uploads. Other than that, I will see you guys next week.